in 1762, there was a French miser by the name of Monsieur Foscue. And he was a French farmer, and he was very rich, but he was known to be a miser. He was stingy. He did not distribute his wealth amidst those who needed it. And he'd stashed all of his cash in an underground cellar beneath his mansion. And on one evening, he came down into the cellar with his candlestick and candle to check up on his wealth, as rich people usually do, whether it's checking the Cash Plus or the Revolut Vault or whatever it may be, or your coins. He goes down into his cellar just to check up on his gold. But the type of door that he had that led to the vault was one that snaps shut after you. So if you don't prop it open, you're trapped. You can only open it from outside. It's a real story. And he comes into the cellar, and Allah decreed that that cellar would be his grave. He forgets to prop the door open, and so it snaps shut. And so he's screaming, he's shouting, he's kicking the door, it's no use. Now, meanwhile, on the ground, Monsieur Foscue's absence was noticed. It's been weeks, months, perhaps years, and he's disappeared, not to be spotted in any one of these circles of public life. And so his mansion was repossessed. It was purchased by another individual. And as he was investigating his new mansion, he noticed that there was an underground vault. There was a cellar. And he comes into the cellar and he sees a man who had become skeleton-like. He died many years ago due to starvation and thirst. And what they found was that they found a candlestick, but there was no candle in it. He'd eaten the candle in a bid to stay alive. And he'd even gnawed at his arm. He'd tried to eat himself, again in a bid to survive, but it was no use. And that image was the irony. This was the contradiction of it all, the paradox. That here you have a man who has died from starvation, from hunger, in the middle of a huge heap of gold and silver. هكذا تفعل الدنيا بأهلها. This is what dunya does to its people. La ilaha illallah. Generally speaking, we should never tire of speaking about this topic of dunya, life, and how to understand it, how to approach it, how to navigate it. Don't tire of this topic. Don't see it as a cliche of a subject, ever. Because the Quran has given it a huge amount of attention. Almost on every page of the Quran, you will find some explicit or implicit reference about, "Oh Muslims, I, Allah, I am helping you navigate your way through dunya, detach your hearts from it." How many families have broken apart because of a pursuit of dunya? And how many reputations were shattered because of dunya? How many cousins are no longer speaking to one another? Employee are no longer speaking with one another. How many countries were invaded in pursuit of dunya? How many scholars were killed and reformers locked up and tortured, all in pursuit of dunya? And principles that were changed, religion that was lost, and homes in the hereafter that were demolished, all in pursuit of a cheap gain in the life of this world, in chasing of dunya. Is this not a reality? So never tire of discussing it. And today I want to do or share with you two batches of evidences that seem from the outset contradictory, but we will reconcile them. I want to share with you some narrations from the Quran, from the Sunnah, how our Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala helps us navigate our journey through dunya. How He helps us detach ourselves from this very attractive vehicle called dunya. And it is attractive. So we need help. We need amthal, analogies, examples. And Allah Almighty's Quran does not fall short in giving us just that. Allah condemns dunya. Allah Jalla Jalaluhu at times, He will use a prohibition from becoming obsessed in dunya. He will forbid us from being deceived by the pomp of dunya. And Allah will say to us, Ya ayyuhan nas, O humanity, Inna wa'da Allahi haqq, the promise of Allah is true. فَلَا تَغُرَّنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا, so do not be deceived by the life of this world. وَلَا يَغُرَّنَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورُ, and do not be deceived by the chief deceiver himself, shaitan. Do not be deceived by dunya, Allah, the maker of dunya, he says. And notice how he warns us of dunya before he warns us of shaitan. And the reason behind this, as the scholars they say, is that the main apparatus used by shaitan to deceive us is the apparatus of dunya. And that is why when he came to our father Adam to deceive him, to try to misguide him, what did he say to him? هَلْ أَدُلُّكَ عَلَى شَجَرَةِ الْخُلْدِ, shall I not guide you to the tree of immortality, وَمُلْكٍ لَا يَبْلَى, and a kingdom that shall never perish? Knowing that if I was to say to Adam, if Iblis was to say to Prophet Adam, hey, would you like to disobey your Lord? He would say to him, no. So he goes through the vehicle of dunya. So he says, فَلَا تَغُرَّنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't allow the life of this world to deceive you, and do not allow the chief deceiver, shaitan, to deceive you. So that's one method used in our text to help our hearts evict the dunya from it and to put it in our hands and beneath our feet. Another method is that at times the Quran will use rain as an analogy, as an example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, وَاضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا, give people the example of the life of this world. كَمَاء, it's like rain. أَنزَلْنَاهُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ, which we bring down from the sky. فَاخْتَلَطَ بِهِ نَبَاتُ الْأَرْضِ, which then mixes with the vegetation of the earth. فَأَصْبَحَ هَشِيمًا تَذْرُوهُ الرِّيَاحِ, and then it becomes dry, broken into pieces, scattered by the wind. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ مُقْتَدِرًا, and Allah is able to do all things. This is an example of dunya. Allah is giving us an example to help us evict it from our hearts and to live in this world unscathed, unharmed by its fitna. It's mercy from Allah Jalla Jalaluhu when you think about it, that He speaks to us like this. So it's like rain. Allah refers to dunya as rain. And then you see vegetation and the farmers become so happy. And then all of a sudden it changes and it's out of their control. You've come across plots of land that's green and lush, vibrant, filled with vitality. And then you visit the very same land later on in life and lo and behold, it's parched. It's dry, it's desolate, it's gone. And this is the life of dunya. All of those stashes of cash and all of that fame and all of that praise and those high-rise towers and the spacious homes and those fancy cars, the end of it is going to be a farewell. Either you bid it farewell through sadaqah or it will bid you farewell through death. This is how dunya is, la ilaha illallah. It doesn't remain.